Welcome to Coaching in Session,
where limits end and growth begins.
Hosted by Michael Rearden.
This is your space to challenge the ordinary,
unlock your potential,
and step boldly into your next chapter.
Your mindset journey continues.
Welcome, Heidi Heron, to Coaching in Session. How are you doing today?
Great. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm doing well. So much better now that I'm here with you. We're going to be talking about your work today.
Wonderful.
You are an author, coach, and psychologist. You have many hats that you wear, many lives that you have lived. And we're going to be talking about your book. It has such a unique title. We'll get into that title in just a moment. But I think it's important for everyone to know in your words, rather than me just kind of giving a quick bio of who you are. Can you tell us who you are, what you do, and of course, how you help people?
Absolutely. So as Michael said, I am an author, a coach, a psychologist, and we can throw in trainer in there as well. I wear a lot of hats, but they kind of all fit under the same umbrella. So I did my undergrad degrees and stuff in psychology with the desire to help people. But one thing that I'd never learned how to do was help people. So I ended up going into human resources, and that's about all I could do with my degree. But I picked up a book about this thing called Neuro-Linguistic Programming, or NLP. And it was all about how the language of the mind creates our programs that we run in life, how we get stuck, how we get motivated, how we get depressed, how we talk to ourselves, how we talk to other people, how we make sense of the world. And there was so much of my psychology and my communication degrees in there. I wanted to know more. So I started to learn a little bit more about figured out that modality of NLP. I then left the real world and started my own coaching and therapy practice back in 1997. So coaching wasn't necessarily a word we used back then, but it was all just from a therapy perspective. And then I also train neuro-linguistic programming around the world to people who want to be coaches and use it in a therapeutic way. But I would say the majority over the past 26 years have been people that just want to be better, that want to get out of their own way. So very personal development oriented, of an interest in what makes me and other people tick, and how do I help myself live my best life? Now, from that, I still work with clients one-on-one. I still train NLP. I still write. But really, my focus is helping people to be their authentic self, get back to wholeness, come to understand themselves, communicate better, and ultimately live their best life. Because that's why we're here. We're not here to be mediocre. We're not here to get by. But so many of us do, because we don't know better. But we hope. And so I hope that I've got some skills and tools and tricks up my sleeve, even though they're short sleeves, to be able to help people to do that, to live their better life.
Well, I'm not sure if you can remember your grandma's pocketbook. And even though those pocketbooks were definitely classified as weapons if used appropriately, they can have everything that you could need. You need Band-Aids, they were there. If you needed some scissors, they had them. They had sewing kits, and they probably had a bottle of wine to get through the day too. So there's a lot of things in there. And it doesn't matter about the short sleeves or long sleeves, because I know the skills that you have and just the experiences that you've lived in your life is going to be profound for our audience today. And I just love one of the things you said, and I think I would love to expand on it, is you talked about helping people to be better at getting out of their own way. And I think of, why are they getting in the way in the first place? Are they self-sabotaging themselves? Is it because of limits that they have been given, or that they're just, from the world in itself, or they see the distance in who they are right now to who they want to become?
All of the above, plus. We form most of our beliefs and values that we run in life by about the age of 7. So from birth to 7, we're these open little sponges, and we just start to take things in. And I have worked with clients. The cool thing about this tool of NLP, and why I now have a skill set that actually helps people, is we can transform beliefs and behaviors and habits and all that kind of stuff. I tell you that because a few of the tools actually utilize a timeline. Just like history has a timeline, you do too. Anytime you think about your past, your future, or your present moment, you're using that timeline. Now, your unconscious mind, that non-thinking part of your mind, remembers everything. Even in that imprint period, that birth to 7 that we don't consciously remember, your unconscious mind has it. So in there are beliefs. I have to work hard to get ahead. I'm not good enough. I'm a slow learner. I don't do well. I don't sleep well. I'm not a good connector. I'm not a good communicator. I get scared easily. I'm shy. All these things that we get from listening, watching, hearing other people. Other people. I remember one gentleman came to see me for some money issues, and he actually went back along his timeline and got this little movie of a boy, probably 4 or 5 years old, sitting in church listening to the priest talk about the evils of money. Another lady came to see me, and her weight was continually fluctuating. And she went back to this little movie in her mind of this little girl, probably 2 or 3 years old, parents divorcing, asking what's going on. And she was told, "You're too little. You can't handle it. When you're bigger, you can handle it." Now, they probably meant, if they said that, age, but her unconscious mind took it as size. And that was her pattern. When things were going well in her life, she could lose weight. As soon as a little bit of stress came on, she had to be bigger to handle it. I mean, I have thousands of examples of those things. But there's also that self-sabotage that we get into, that I have met so many people, I'm sure you have too, and I'm sure I've been one from time to time, that we get almost to the finish line of something and we go, "Oh, yeah, I can't do this anymore." And we stop. If that's a relationship, a job, or whatever it is. And there's fear of failure in there. There's fear of success in there. There's who am I going to be? So yeah, we self-sabotage all the time. We put learned limitations on ourselves. We also, unfortunately, and I think that social media has a lot to do with this one, there's so much comparison these days about who I should be, how I should be, instead of just going, "You know what? I'm better than I was yesterday. I'm better than I was yesterday." For the past few years, I've been playing golf quite badly. And in the beginning, I used to compare "Oh man, I'm not as good as her." Well, she's been playing for 30 years. Of course, I'm not as good as her. And I was playing yesterday pretty badly. And I thought, you know what? I'm doing pretty badly today compared to last week. And so my comparison now is me the last time I played. And that's the only fair comparison. And then we get out of that pattern, that cycle. But any of those beliefs we have, the limits we put on ourselves, and those comparisons, they will all hold us in those patterns. They will all stop us from being who we really are.
Yeah. One of the things I've been thinking about probably for the past 4 months was thinking about starting golf. Here in Central Texas, we have so many wonderful golf courses, and there's so many people who play golf here. And I remember having a conversation with one of my family members talking about, do I golf? And I'm thinking I need to start. It is not because I like golf or anything. Maybe it's because everyone else is playing. So I want to see why everyone loves golf so much, right? Everyone just falls in love with it. And they say it's a great sport. And I remember going to a couple, driving ranges, things like that. And I had a good time when I was there. But to, the aspect of starting as a fledgling, and I'm there and I'm trying to get this whole in one, I mean, sure, it could be a fluke, but, I'm going to chase it. I know that. And it's going to be something I know my personality quite well, is I'm going to obsess with it for quite a long time until I get really good at it. And I can't tell you how many people
on your desk.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm gonna have them all over the house because I have kids, and they're gonna be breaking things. They're gonna be breaking my windows and my vases and all my stuff. It's gonna be big problems. But either way, good problems to have down the road. I think about how people, they start something, right? They can start a business, they can start an entrepreneurial venture, and they can be motivated to do something where they're hungry for it. They don't care about starting. They don't care about the eyes, the competition. It's just they fall in love with something and they do it. But what astounding happens is that even though they have all of this love and admiration for something as they begin, it seems as if the motivation begins to fade in the wrong direction. And now they are not doing what they set out to do. So they're not going to the driving range anymore, the golf course. Perhaps it was going to the gym, New Year's resolutions, things along those lines. So it's like they lose the drive, they lose the momentum. And we can maybe pull that in with self-sabotage, but I think it's something deeper because they're starting something and they have all of these good feelings. And it's not that someone else said something or did something. It's just that maybe they realize it's not for them, or maybe they realize it's too much work. Like, what is the thing that goes on in most people's minds when they are starting, they love it, to stopping because they didn't even think this fully through?
Yeah, I love this. I love this. And you're going to be addicted to it because it's a fun game. It's an interesting one because you're right. It's not just pure self-sabotage because we start, I'm going to write that book and I'm going to do all those things. And we start it with that gusto that really gets us going. Oftentimes, so we get motivation. We get motivation either towards something or away from something. So towards getting the book done, feeling fit, having a new business, getting into a relationship, towards all this stuff. Or we do it away from. I go to the gym so I don't die. I go to the gym so my clothes don't not fit. I start dating so I'm not alone. I'm going to get a new job so I'm not. So see the difference between here's the pain. I'm moving away from the pain of something so I don't get in trouble. I'm going to do my homework so I don't get in trouble. I'm going to do my homework so it's done. It feels good. So that towards and away from. If we only have one way motivation, as soon as that motivation is gone, I no longer have motivation. So we need a little bit of both. We need a little bit of both. The first book that I wrote it for years, and I had a lot of motivation towards, I want to write this book. It's called 30 Days to NLP. It explains, people will understand it, people will learn it, they will love it. It's great. And then it's hard, and I have to actually do it. And I had no away from motivation. So I sent out an email to most of my students, probably about a few of them, maybe 100 or so, replied to the email. And the email said, hey, in September, I'm going to write a book. There's 30 days in September. And every day I'm going to publish a new chapter. It will be edited later. But this will be the away from motivation. I don't want to miss a deadline. I don't want to let somebody down. And so I wrote a book in a month. Sometimes I was up till 2 or 3 in the morning in order to send out that next email. But it got it done. And so sometimes when we don't have that towards and away from motivation, something to pull us, something to push us long term, then we will lose momentum. I think another thing that happens is in the beginning, things are fun. Things are fun. There's adrenaline in there. There's oxytocin in there. There's the dopamine hit that we get. And if something loses its steam, then it usually doesn't also produce the same kind of chemicals and hormones that get us out of bed and get us going. And I know for me that back to golf, when I started playing with the big girls and doing competitions and stuff like that, like league play and stuff, I was doing way too much of that external validation. Oh God, they're better. Oh, what are they thinking? And it dropped it. The whole desire for it stopped. And so I stopped for a little while. And then I went, wait a second, why did I do that? I liked doing that. That was fun. And then I went back out and I went, oh, that's right. It's not so much fun. So I had to change my mindset so that I was not doing that, just that away from, that I still had the towards. But then I also changed my idea that, you know what? Nobody actually pays attention to how I'm doing. And not just in golf, in life. When we're like, oh God, what are they going to think? Nobody's thinking about us. Nobody. And if they are, they're probably thinking good things. And if they're thinking bad things, they don't know us anyway. And that had to shift my mindset around. So there's lots of stuff, but to keep that motivation, have a bit of that towards, have a bit of that away from, and also get clear on your goal and get clear on your reason why you're doing it. And in fact, I believe in why power much more than willpower.
Yeah, I know. When it gets down to the purpose or the why in people's lives, it seems as if they have the hardest time figuring that out for themselves. It's almost like they go to a restaurant and the restaurant didn't do a good job on the menu and they have 100 different options, right? Gordon Ramsay, if he goes to that restaurant, he's going to say there's too many options, because you just want to say, okay, if you're an Italian restaurant, you have these pasta dishes, you have maybe this style of pizza, and that's it, right? You're not going to have oh, you're going to have this, you're going to have that. And before you know it, you have a menu that could be as big as the Bible or as thick as the Bible. Sure, that could be good for someone who likes options, but we know if we have too many options to do something, we might not take any of them, or we'll have a really hard time. Look at what happens with couples on Netflix night or movie
Ooh,
night.
yeah.
They will scroll for an hour, 2 hours. The movie's already done if they started it on time,
Exactly.
right? And they're trying to find the right movie, the right match for themselves at the given time. You want to watch this? No, I'm not in the mood for that. Another time. So it's just like we have so many options today, and never before we've had, this many options and knew what to do with them. So now a lot of people are dealing with overwhelm, and overwhelm can be a dangerous thing. And well, especially to the wrong person. For the right person, they can thrive on it. I think of like David Goggins. He's like, this is too much. I love it. Versus, someone else that goes, this is too much. I can't even think what to do first.
Yeah.
Like they
And then
just
we get
stop. They
stuck.
just freeze. Yeah. And I just think of like all those people who are at that point where they just freeze and they get stuck. And even though you tell them the way, even though you show them the way, it's like they can't take the first step. What is that way that you can unlock that engine for them to get back going?
I think to your point earlier, and probably to mine as well, is again, find that why, that purpose. What is this going to give me? Because knowing that starts that engine back up again. And let's just take something simple like the gym. Let's say I want to go to the gym, I want to work out or walk around the park or whatever it is. But you know what? If I don't really enjoy that, I could also do the laundry, which I also don't enjoy. I could clean the bathroom, which I also don't enjoy. I could do my taxes, which I don't enjoy. But I'm going to choose one of those other things I don't enjoy other than that one. And again, there's just too many options. So time blocking works for a lot of people. Does not work for me. When I put it in my calendar, I'm going to the gym right here. But for some people, seeing it and they get that tick, yes, that's done. Years ago, I created a process, kind of a guided visualization process. And it's wonderful when we've got too much going on. It's called clearing the now. And ultimately, I'll tell you how to do it, and then anybody can do this on their own. You close your eyes, you don't have to, but it's a good way to block out the world. And you notice what is in your now that's not a now thing. Like if you're listening to this right now and thinking, what's in my now that's what's in my now? The only thing that should be in your now, unless you're driving and listening to this, is a conversation with Michael and Heidi. That's it. If you're driving, there's probably that as well. If you're cooking, there's probably that as well. But really, whatever is happening now is the only thing that belongs in your now. The thing you're going to do later today, that belongs in your future. The conversation you had with somebody before, that belongs in your past. The going to the gym later today, that goes in the future. And so then we start to recognize what is here and where does it actually go? And kind of visualize moving those things into the future or into the past, so that we just have now. And it's just what's happening now. You can also imagine what the future and the past look like and organize them and, put the like with the like or near past and distant past together. But just clearing that now. And interestingly, neurologically, what that does is we can only hold on to a certain amount in our mind. And for some people, if we have more, like you said, that will motivate and invigorate them to clear it. And these are, strange people in the world that get more done like that. Sometimes wish I was that way. I'm more like, squirrel, and I'm off on that one. So I have to clear the squirrel out, bring back the now. And again, neurologically, it goes, I can be present. And in our world of too much going on and too much stimulus and too much instant gratification, less is more. And then we can be more present. And when we're present, we can allow ourselves to make a choice, a better choice. I could sit down at the Cheesecake Factory with their gigantic menu and go, okay, right now I feel like, some of that mac and cheese. Okay. And I look through and find which menu things have mac and cheese, and it narrows it down. But if I have too much going on, it's hard to even focus on what is important in my now right now. But we have so much control over our mind, our emotions, our body, our reactions, our choices, our behaviors, that most of the time we're just on autopilot. But if we slow down a little bit.
Magic. I think of when you're younger. For example, I have young children. They don't dictate their schedule. They don't get to choose when they go to school. We do. They don't get to choose when it's lunchtime. We do. We tell them when it's bedtime. So we basically run their life for them, right? They get to play and be free. Of course, be pragmatic to a certain extent, right? But I think of the idea many parents look at children, especially like when children want to be adults. Oh, I can't wait till I'm a grown up so I can drive and I can drink and I can do all this, right? And basically parents say, you don't know what you're getting into. Don't wish for that, right? Stay young, right? Enjoy it. And I think of these children who have all their schedules given to them, swim practice, basketball practices, etc. There's not much thinking to it. It's just more of a doing aspect to it. And sure enough, they develop typically well-rounded. And I am now going to present the idea of what would happen if they had if parents or if adults in general had a well-rounded schedule that was given to them versus one that they chose to create for themselves. Of course, it might not be in alignment with their purpose or why, but they have a schedule saying, oh, I have to follow my schedule. And it's kind of funny because we do follow it, a 9 to 5, think of the 9 to 5, right? We follow a schedule, but we don't necessarily see it as that. We see it more as a means. I need to work to pay the bills versus I have a schedule already. I need to look at my schedule to see if I'm available. Now, is this schedule something that's going to be good for people, or is it going to be something that's going to be a detriment to them in their growth? Meaning, like a schedule can truly show someone their skills, their growth capabilities, and can even help them further along in life to maybe their destined life or their best life or their better life, versus a life that's just kind of a rat race life, or like a full swing life. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that, like the pros and cons to a schedule for adults, or if adults are following a schedule and they're not seeing progress.
So the first thing that came to mind is there is one place where adults absolutely get that schedule given to them, and it's because our freedoms were taken away. Prison. So that is where you're told, here's when you wake up, here's when you eat, here's when you go to your job, here's when you have playtime, here's when you exercise, here's when you eat, here's when you go to bed again. In general, some people love that structure. And if somebody is more aligned to needing procedure, because we either want more procedure or options, is oftentimes what gets us out of bed. But sometimes we like what we don't need, or we don't like what we need, if that fits. Because some people live way too structured lives. I remember a gentleman and his family came in to see me, and they had planned a trip to Europe. And the wife was like, I brought our whole family in because we're ready to revolt and not go. And I said, why? And she said, show her the plan. And he brought out this binder that he had printed out a spreadsheet that pretty much said, at this time we will go get up. By this time we will have eaten breakfast. By this time we need to leave the hotel. By this time. And it was planned down to what time they had to get into bed. And they said, this is not a vacation. That is not fun. And he's like, but we have to plan it, because if we don't plan it, we'll miss it. And for some people that works. For some people it does not work. So I don't know that there's a one way fits all. I would say try a lot of different things. For somebody who is more in that detail, but that structured method, and they need that procedure of what to do and how to do it, they will get lost if there's too much option. If there's 2 hours and they're like, well, what am I supposed to do with those 2 hours? Where me, I will follow a little bit of a schedule. And if it's a must, I will, but probably for a very short amount of time. I'm great at creating process, horrible at following it, because I will always find a loophole in there. And it doesn't motivate me. It doesn't keep me on track necessarily. But for other people, that's exactly what they need. And the reason that for people like me, if I'm in a structure too long, and why I lose my oomph with that, is it takes away my choice. It takes away that freedom. It takes away the same stuff that kids eventually complain about. You know, I have to do this. Why do I have to do this now? Why do you tell me? And it's me telling me I've got this schedule, but I still fight with me, because ultimately at the end of the day, Nobody likes being told what to do. Nobody likes being told what to do, even by ourselves. And if there is a little bit of that rebellion inside of us and we don't like being told what to do, we will fight ourselves for putting ourselves on a schedule. So if you're fighting yourself from putting on your schedule, here's my belief about all of this. If something is too hard, you're doing it wrong. If it's too hard, you're doing it wrong. Things are supposed to be hard and challenging. It's how we grow. But if it's too hard, change it. Do something different. Take away the pressure. Change a belief. Change a behavior. Change the route you go home. Change it. Do something different. Because if it costs your peace, it costs too much. And if we're not getting stuff done, either we don't want to do it or we're stuck in how. All of it's changeable.
I think of, I'm going to use myself as an example. I think it's a great way to show people. I have been a long time gym goer to LA Fitness. I just like LA Fitness. I just like the layout. I like the space. I like the people who go there. I like LA Fitness, right? Now, if you're a bodybuilder, you might like Gold's, for example. In our area, and I'm not sure if it's in your area, Crunch Fitness. Have you heard of that gym, Crunch Fitness? Yep. They're popping up like cedar trees here in Texas, right? And it's to the point where they're just making a wave where they just can't open up enough gyms because they're coming in with crazy introductory prices, 1 cent to join, 3 months free. It's like, this is a bargain, right? So a lot of the people who were going to LA Fitness, they moved over to Crunch, right? And the newest one that opened up in my area is so funny. I had to bash them on the podcast, and I typically don't do it, but they deserved it. So I did it, and sure enough, they got rid of the manager. He's fired, and they did a lot of restructuring because they realized that gym was not going to thrive with the leadership that was in position, right? That's all to say. Crunch is doing a good job at understanding, is the gym being successful? And if it is, all right, let's replicate it in the next facility. And that's why I think they're so successful right now. Now, one of the things I noticed, with that little bit of backstory is that as much as Crunch is cheap and you got all this new equipment, I dislike it. All right. Hate is too strong of a word. I just dislike it. I like LA Fitness more. I like the space. I like my old equipment. I'm just old fashioned. I'm old school, I guess. Right. And I can get a better workout. I can get at LA than I do at Crunch. Not saying I don't get good workouts there. I'm just saying I feel as if I get a better workout at LA. So when I switched over, because I was looking for childcare because LA got rid of their childcare. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So I was like, okay, how can I go to the gym with my kids if I can't go to the gym because there's no childcare? Crunch has it taken care of, right? They already planned for it. So I was like, okay, well, I need a gym with childcare. I need a gym with 24/7 access because at the time I had a very crazy hectic schedule. And now my schedule is a little bit more toned down where it's manageable. So I can go to LA Fitness now again in the mornings like I was, versus I was trying to go like at 2:00 in the morning, 4:00 in the morning to go to the gym because that was the only time I was available to go to the gym. Well, what I realized was now that I have the Crunch membership, it's like, I don't want to go, even though I can go anytime 24/7, right? They got 24/7 access. I was like, I don't want to go, right? So what I had to do was I had to say, I don't like this gym. Which gym do I like? And I said, I like LA. So let me get an LA membership and get an LA membership. And I go to the gym again. It's like magic. It's just like, wow, like, why do people get into that where they find something they like and they will only do that? Whether it's like kids and their macaroni and cheese and their hot dogs. I only want to eat macaroni and cheese and hot dogs and ramen noodles versus like some kids will eat broccoli, salmon. It's very different. It's very different mindsets. What gets people into that fixation where they have to do something that is particular to them?
Man, I love today's conversation. We're going all over the place. This one has to do, and we're talking about mindsets too, which is one of my favorite topics. So, and I have names for all these things. So this has to do with a mindset that looks at how we choose things. And we will choose things based on sameness or difference. And so somebody that has more, and this is probably more contextual. So it's not like everything in your life you need this, but when I'm working out, when I'm going to the gym, I know how this one works. I like it. I want something that fits this thing. And there's a good chance that if you found another gym that replicated everything of LA Fitness, but it was called Central Tex and it was exactly the same, just a different name, you'd be like, all right, let me try that. You're like, oh, this is very similar. I like this. Hey, they're the same setup. Hey, the same kind of people, the same kind of management, same kind of thing. And you'd love it. Something that's a little different, it rubs us the wrong way because we like that. And so if you're in a sameness mode with that and you go to something different, your body will repel against it and your mind will rebel and go, that's not what I signed up for. That's not what I wanted. This is different. The things are different. These are different machines. These are different, blah, 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 blah. I don't like it. And then that will then affect our psychology and our motivation will. Now, there are some people that do not like in those kinds of things. They would rather have 3 or 4 gyms that they can pop around to and have different elements and different aspects. And at each gym, they're going to do different things. They're going to wear different things and talk to different people. And they're going to learn different things and do different parts of their body. And they're going to shake it up and there's no routine. And that's the same for all of life. That if I have a job that's very repetitious, let's say I work at Amazon and I just pack the boxes. I need to hire somebody that has that sameness mindset when it comes to doing their job. But when I have another job and it's very varied and somebody's going to be doing 18 different things in a day and there's really no structure, strategy, there's just a whole bunch of stuff. I don't want a sameness mindset person in that job. And so I help people figure that out too, of what kind of job do you want, or a company, what kind of employee do you need to hire in order to get that right fit. But in each context, so you might be, and I say this because I don't want somebody to walk away going, oh, I'm a difference person, I'm a sameness person, because we might have a little bit of both sameness then difference and difference then sameness, but it's going to be different based on context. I'm very sameness when it comes to, I could eat the same thing for lunch every day. Dinner, not so much. Lunch, every day, same. But you should see, I have my golf closet there with all my golf things. There are so many golf clothes in there. Difference. To wear the same thing every day? No. So it's, different context, different filter. But that's part of that whole gym thing and that sameness and difference.
Yes, you could read my mind because I was going to ask, because I was using the gym as an example, but I was going to also refer to it to career, and you did it so beautifully, so we don't have to talk about that. It's the idea of how I talk about things. It could be anything. It could be fitness. It could be relationships, and I use it typically universally because there's different aspects that people can be dealing with. Because people might be in the same relationship and they start to compare their relationship with relationships. Oh, this relationship is no good. It's going to end just like this other one. Mm-hmm. And it's like we just get into this loop of sometimes being our worst enemy. And I can't tell you how many people in the world, they are in that predicament where they're trying to change. They will like to change. It just seems like they're just their own worst enemy. And I know firsthand to do it by yourself is going to be a daunting task, to say the least. I can't tell you where I would be if I didn't have support, if I didn't have help, if I didn't have people to guide me through those areas, because doing it by myself, I would have made too many wrong turns. I would not be in Texas. I'll be in Kansas, or, because it's the opposite of what Dorothy had to deal with. Because I was like, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. I think I'm in Kansas right now, and I've drove through Kansas, but I haven't stayed to the point of saying, okay, I enjoy it, I don't like it. But this is all to say that there are many options for people today. They have the option to remain the same. They have an option to look at their life to see what could be changed. They can look at their whys. They can look at their purposes again. They can look at that motivation. I love that bit of motivation where you said they can have that motivation where it's pushing them forward, or motivation that's taking them back, right? So like that negative motivation is so powerful there, where there's just so many mindsets where people, even if they rewind this episode, there's so many nuggets where they can take away and say, wow, that's me at some times. And it might not be you today, but it could be you in 3 months, because we're going to go through these cycles and repetitions. It's very similar to how there's phases in life. For example, bell bottoms came back in 2020 or something. And it's like, why are people wearing bell bottoms? I thought that was a like 60, 70 thing. And now they were wearing it. It didn't last long, but it's this idea of how things and trends can replicate later on in life. Just because it was something that was then and now, it doesn't mean it's not going to come back. But what I'm noticing is that trends, they have a smaller window of lasting now. So something that will last 5 years and then these now last, 9 months, if that, right? So it happens so quick and our world is changing so quickly today where people have a hard time keeping up with it. And as I said, you can try to do it yourself, but it's going to be similar to having a business and trying to do all the numbers and all the marketing. It's just too much at some point. You just need some help, some guidance. And I know, Heidi, what you do is helping people with all of these aspects, helping them understand and to piece everything together. It's this idea of, yes, you have a roadmap, you have a plan, but let's piece it all together and make sure that you can stay on track. Right there is worth more than its weight in gold, because I can't tell you how many people start and they stop. Look at New Year's resolutions, look at any business venture that you have or any book that you started writing and you didn't finish. This is all this idea of we just need some accountability and we need a lot of direction. So, as we begin to wrap up, we still have a little bit more of a conversation, of course, but I would love to get some final thoughts, some final words, and then for you to tell people how they can find you and reach out.
Beautiful, beautiful. And thank you for saying that, because I think so many people do. I mean, you weren't listening to this podcast right now without going, how do I make my life better? You wouldn't be listening to it. And so much, you can absolutely do a lot of this yourself, but with help, it's just so much easier because you don't see your blind spots. And I think what I help people with and my team of coaches help people with is not just getting a roadmap to getting to where you're going, but we also want to figure out what are those stumbling blocks? What are those interferences, the beliefs, the barriers, the habits, the behaviors, the thoughts that hold you back? Because our toolbox has tools to be able to clear those, to shift those, to create new beliefs, new behaviors, new habits, new ways of thinking, so that you can get in alignment with you and not who you want to be, who you are at your core. And if you're like, I don't know who I am at my core, that's a good reason to talk to me, because at our core is this aspect of authenticity, integrity, wholeness, and just being me, where it's who we were when we were little without the filters. But now we've got adult filters, and just let's come back to the core of who we are and that wholeness. So from a coaching or a therapeutic position, it doesn't have to be me or one of my team, but I would highly recommend doing a little bit of research about NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, because it has the toolbox. I have my doctorate in clinical psychology. Even through that, I didn't learn any tools to actually help people. I learned how to hold space. I learned how to diagnose problems. I learned how to help people stay stuck in their stuckness and get out of stuckness a little bit more and understand, why do I feel depressed and how do I manage and work with it? But it's through the NLP toolbox that I learned how to move on from anxiety, depression, stuckness, fears, phobias, can't do this, limiting beliefs, all that kind of fun stuff. So I highly recommend that. You can find me on my website, HeidiHeron.com. That has a link through to my other coaches at NLP Coach Finder. You can do some NLP training with me, all kinds of fun stuff you'll find on my website, and you'll also find my latest book as well.
All right, perfect. And I know many people, they are looking for that NLP style of coaching. I can't tell you how many people call and they go, what type of coaching do you have? Is it like NLP? And it's just so funny because we have that conversation where people are aware of it. They might want to implement it. And I'm sure there's not enough people who know about it. So there's just that whole gambit of potential there and people being able to change their life where they get rid of their preconceived notions of themselves or their limits and they start to challenge it, whether it be given from a teacher, a parent, or even maybe one of your best friends, where they might have said a limit that they have within them. But no one's limits are your limits. You get to decide what you are going to be in life, what you don't want to be in life, and then you get to live it. If you feel as if you are an imposter in your own skin and that you can be someone different, I encourage you to check down below. Dr. Heidi's link is going to be right there for you to say, hey, I'm interested in learning more about myself. That why question, that purpose question, even though it's that starting point, it can really give us a lot of direction. So many people have a hard time figuring that out for themselves, because one of the things I think is a fear of theirs is, what if this is not my why? What if this is not my purpose? What if this is someone else's? And our world today, everything is so convoluted where we can look at something and say, oh, I like that, but do you truly like it, right? Everyone wants a private jet until they have to pay the pilots, they have to pay the fuel. So it's just like, wait, I don't really like this. I'd rather just go on Southwest or something, fly first class for $2,000, right? Versus all the mayhem you have to deal with. So it looks nice from the outside, but to live it, you would have to experience that. So learn to live life, learn to reimagine your happiness, reimagine all of the benefits that you can be and live in the world. It might not be as simple as 1, 2, 3, an easy path for you. There could be many hurdles along the way. But like I said, or as you said so greatly, we all have blind spots. And it's important that we have someone to watch them. If I'm going to a fist fight, I want someone behind my back that's gonna watch my back. And I know Dr. Heidi's gonna watch everyone's back here in their efforts to be better than what they are today. So I would like to thank you, Heidi, for coming on, spending some time, and of course, talking about your work, your book, and how you help people.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. Great conversation. Thank you very much.